Hey everyone, this is going to be a lesson on meal costing, and this is important for you to watch prior to you completing the recipe costing assignment that is due Sunday, September 27th at 11:59 p.m. So the purpose of this lesson is for you to learn how to calculate the cost of ingredients that are included in a recipe, calculate the overall cost of a recipe, and then we're going to talk about calculating the cost per individual serving of a recipe as well. So just a reminder, your menu costing assignment is due Sunday, September 27th at 11:59 p.m. and that is now posted to Moodle for you to complete. So we are going to practice and learn how to cost a recipe together today. So we're going to use the example of homemade red beans and rice with some frozen greens. You're going to see I have chopped frozen spinach, but it's actually kale, as well as a cantaloupe. So, say we went to the grocery store and we bought all of those ingredients. We bought a 5-pound bag of Cajun country rice, a 27-ounce can of Blue Runner red beans, 10 ounces of that frozen kale or spinach, and a fresh cantaloupe. Here are your prices for each. We're going to look at these prices in just a second. But the overall total that we spent for purchasing these ingredients for the recipe was $6.43. So the reason why it's important for us to calculate recipes is because just because we spent $6.43 at the store doesn't mean that our actual meal cost $6.43. So for instance, we bought a 5-pound bag of rice. It's likely that our recipe is not going to call for 5 pounds. So we are going to learn how to cost the price for each individual recipe and then for the actual recipe cost rather than the cost for all of the raw ingredients. So let's start with the rice. What we are going to do is take a look first at the amount of servings per the container. So the first step is always looking at the amount of servings on the food label that is written. And you see here there are about 48 servings in the 5-pound bag of rice. So I have 48 written here. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to divide the total price of that product, so the total price of the 5-pound bag, which was $2.39, by 48, which is the amount of servings. So we have the total price for that product that we purchased divided by the servings in that container. So the cost that we are estimating here is the serving price, okay? So it's important that you understand that this isn't necessarily the recipe cost for that specific ingredient because our recipe might call for a different measure, so more or less than this 1/4 cup serving. But if an easy way for us to kind of get started estimating the cost of the recipe is by using the serving per container. So this number, this 5 cents here that we get from dividing $2.39 by 48, we get 0.0497, and I've rounded that to 0.05. And just to be clear, that's 5 cents, not 50 cents. So this 5 cents is the cost for 1/4 cup of uncooked rice, okay? So this is the cost for the serving, okay? So finally what you're going to do, and we're going to have a better example of this whenever we go over the practice worksheet, what you'll do last, step 3, is going to be deciding if your recipe includes more or less than the serving size. Because remember, this number, this 5 cents, is representing the serving size. Okay, so the number of servings divided by the total cost. Okay, so 5 cents was our rice. Next, we're going to look at the red beans. So again, we're going to take a look at the servings per container. So our red beans has about 3.5 servings. So we've taken the total cost for that can of red beans, which is $1.79. We divide that by 3.5, and we get 0.511. We're going to round that to 0.51, and that is 51 cents, not 5 cents. Okay, and remember, this 51 cents is representing a half cup serving, so the final step is to determine if your recipe is going to use more, less, or equal to that half cup serving. Next we have our frozen spinach, or actually frozen kale. This is our food label. So again, we're going to look for the number of servings per container, which here we see servings per container about 6. So the total cost for that bag of frozen greens was $1. So we're going to divide that $1 by 6 servings, and we get 0.167. We'll round that to 0.17, or 17 cents. Again, not 1 cent, it's 17 cents. So just to reiterate, this 17 cents represents this 1 cup serving size. Okay, and then finally, you're going to decide whether your recipe is going to use more, less, or equal to that 1 cup serving size. Okay, and finally, we are going to look at the fresh cantaloupe price. Fresh fruit is a little bit different because obviously there's not a food label, same with any type of produce. So you're going to look up the serving size for those particular foods. A good rule of thumb is that fresh fruit and vegetables, 1 serving equals 1 cup. So we're going to use that serving size for the cantaloupe, which is 1 cup. And I did a search to find about how many cups of cantaloupe come from 1 average size cantaloupe, and that is about 4 cups from 1 average size cantaloupe. So we're going to say that the serving size is 1 cup, and there's about 4 servings, or 4 cups, from 1 average size cantaloupe. So our servings per container is 4. So we paid $1.25 for that cantaloupe. We're going to divide that by 4 because that is our servings per container, and we get 0.313. We'll round that to 0.31, or 31 cents. So again, this 31 cents represents 1 cup serving of the fresh cantaloupe. And the final thing you'll do is determine if your recipe is going to use more, less, or equal to that 1 cup serving of cantaloupe. Okay, so we have estimated the cost for each specific ingredient. And we've done that with the price per serving of each ingredient. So we found that the Cajun rice is 5 cents per serving. The red beans were 0.51 per serving, 51 cents per serving. The frozen greens were 17 cents per serving, and then the fresh cantaloupe was 31 cents per serving. So all of that equaled to $1.04 per serving. And just to reiterate, this is $1.04 if you use the particular serving sizes that are outlined on those food labels. Okay, so if we go back, it's $1.04 for 1/4 of a cup of uncooked rice, plus 1/2 cup of those beans, plus 1 cup of the chopped frozen kale, and 1 cup of cantaloupe. So that's a pretty large amount of food for $1.04. So I would say this is pretty socioeconomically positive. So we are going to do a practice worksheet together, and that is going to align just a bit more with the assignment that you're going to turn in this week. So this is a practice worksheet. I've also linked this to Moodle. It says recorded lesson activity. So if you want to pause this and open up this worksheet, you can either download it or print it, and you can work along with me, because this is very much resembles the assignment that you're going to complete and turn in for a grade. So we just went through that PowerPoint and looked at how you estimate the price for specific ingredients in a recipe based on their servings, the servings per container. So we are going to do that in this table format. And then remember how I said that you're not always using the amount or the serving size that's specified on that package. So in the second table down here, we're going to look at how we modify the cost per ingredient based on the amount of the ingredient that were used when it doesn't equal what's listed on the food label. Whew. Excuse me. Okay, so we're going to start with a deli turkey sandwich. We've got some bread, the deli meat, some cheese, and some mustard. You're going to have to pick out this information, like the serving size and the servings per container, but we'll look at that in the assignment that you're going to turn in. So, we said we bought this bread for $4.99 a loaf. Its serving size is 1 slice, and there are 22 servings or slices. We have some turkey breast that was $3.48 per container. The serving size is 2 ounces of turkey, and there are about 4.5 servings per container. We have some sliced Gouda, which was $2.84 per container. The serving size is 1 slice, and there are about 10 slices or servings. And then finally, we have this Heinz mustard, which is $1.97 for the whole bottle. The serving size that's listed on the bottle is a teaspoon, and there are about 112 teaspoons in that bottle. So, how do we calculate this? What we're going to do is divide the total price for the bread by the amount of servings. So $4.99 divided by 22, and that should equal, let me see if I can get this maybe in a red, that way it sticks out to you. So do that math and pause it until you're ready. That should equal about 23 cents. Okay, and then we have our turkey breast. We bought that whole container for $3.48. There are 4.5 servings. So we divide 3.48 by 4.5. Do that math really quick. And I get 77 cents per serving. Okay. Then we have our sliced Gouda, which was $2.84 per container. And there are 10 slices. So we divide 284 by 10, and that gives you 28 cents per slice or serving. And then we have our Heinz mustard, which was $1.97 per bottle. There's 112 servings. So $1.97 divided by 112, and that equals 2 cents. Okay. So the way I have this set up is that you are going to fill this bottom in, oops, that did not work. You're going to fill the bottom table in with the price per serving. So you'll also do this on the worksheet that you complete and turn in for a grade. So you see price per serving, we just estimated price per serving because we took the total price for that product, and we divided it by the number of servings per container. So that equals price per serving. So all I'm doing is copying and pasting the price per serving down below. So be sure you do this because this is worth points. And look at this, price per serving. Okay, so we know that these are the serving sizes for these specific ingredients, but we aren't necessarily going to use the serving size as designated by that food label for our recipe, right? So we want a real sandwich that has 2 slices of bread, not just 1 slice of bread, even though the serving size is 1 slice. So we are going to calculate how to price. We're gonna talk about how you price the actual recipe rather than the serving price. So what we're going to do is find factors for these. So let's see if I can enter this. Okay. So, say, I'm going to turn this red. All right. Our serving size for that bread that was on the food label is 1 slice, but we are going to use 2 slices in this recipe. So we are going to have a factor of 2. So we're going to multiply this by 2. And I'm going to make this smaller. Just bear with me for a second, because this is just going to help. There. Okay. So, our factor is times 2, and I'm going to put this right here. Sorry, I'm going to put this over here. Because, I'm actually going to make this just a little bit bigger, so it can be bold and a little bit larger. Okay. So, we estimated the price per serving, okay? So, the price for one slice is 23 cents, okay? But we are using 2 slices. So, we are going to multiply this by 2, which is our factor. So, our recipe cost, estimate that, would then be 46 cents. Because we did 23 cents by 2, our factor, because we're using double the serving size in our recipe, and that equals 46 cents. So if you didn't get that, rewind and start that over to make sure that that makes sense. Okay, moving on to the turkey breast. Our serving size that was on the food label was 2 ounces, and in our recipe, we're also going to use 2 ounces. So our factor is going to be times 1. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. So our factor is times 1. So that means that the recipe cost is 77 cents. Okay. Then we have our Sargento cheese, which again, our recipe matches the serving size. So our factor is going to be 1, and that means that the recipe cost is 28 cents. Okay, and then last we have our Heinz mustard. Okay, so the serving size is 1 teaspoon, but we've decided in our recipe we're only going to use half a teaspoon. So think about what the factor would be in this case. We're doing half of the amount, so 0.5, let's see if I can make this a little bigger. 0.5 is going to be our factor. You could also divide by 2, and that would get you the same answer. So 2 cents times 0.5, or 2 cents divided by 1, would be 1 cent. Okay, so that means our total recipe cost is 46 cents plus 77 cents plus 28 cents plus plus 1 cent is $1.52. There we go. Okay. So, it's important to note that this is for 1 serving. This whole recipe makes 1 sandwich, and if 1 person is going to eat this sandwich, that means that this whole recipe makes 1 serving. So, this total recipe cost is going to be $1.52, but also the total, let me write this down here. Or actually, I should put it on this side. The total serving cost, or cost per serving, is also $1.52. So the difference here is that if this recipe made 2 sandwiches, okay, you would divide the total recipe cost by 2 to estimate the total serving cost, or the cost per serving. So if you divided that $1.52 divided by 2, there would be about 76 cents per serving. So that would be like a half of a sandwich would be about 76 cents. Okay. So I'm going to pull up the other assignment that you guys are going to turn in. Just give me 1 second. Oops. I just had this open. Okay. So this is the recipe that you guys are going to be costing out for the assignment that you're going to turn in. This is worth a total of 25 points. You are going to use the food labels that are attached on the back, as well as the price, to estimate the first the price per serving. And then remember, you'll carry the price per serving down into this. You'll also carry the serving size down into this table to calculate the recipe cost. And I want to draw your attention, this says serves 2. So what does that mean for the recipe cost per person, or the cost per serving? Okay, because this makes 2. The total recipe cost is the sum of the recipe cost for each ingredient, but it makes 2 per serving, or there's 2 servings per 1 recipe. So what is the cost per person? Okay, so you're going to fill this out. Again, this assignment is due on Sunday, September 27th. If you have any questions, please reach out, let me know, and I can help you figure out how to proceed with this assignment.